It is the 1st of July and today marks the start of the summer travel season. It should be an exciting time for those people heading off to the airport to their dream holiday destination. Instead, for some who are travelling, it's turned into a time of uncertainty, high levels of stress and disappointment. Well, joining me now to talk about some of the flight cancellations and delays is Eoghan Corry, editor of Air and Travel magazine. Good morning, Eoghan.
Good morning, Claire. You know the old joke about how the trip to the airport makes you look like your passport photograph. I think we'll all look like our passport photograph after getting through the airport this weekend.
Yeah, quite possibly. And there are two issues here, aren't there? You've got the delays at the airport at times because of the shortage of staff. And then you've got COVID-related staff absences. So just explain to us what's been going on.
Yeah, with the delays at the airport are coming a little bit under control. Very interesting this morning. The new kids on the block, Terminal 2, are the ones where the security delays went up to 30 minutes. Well,
Eoghan Corry is back with us to talk about what's happening at the airport. So, Eoghan, I was saying there when we were trying to get you back on the line that there are 13 cancelled departures today. Is that the right figure?
That's about it. There's 11 of them. Those are Aer Lingus, but there's a couple of non-Aer Lingus. TAP to Lisbon has gone this evening. Heathrow, British Airways has gone. We've lost 3 Heathrow flights. We've lost a couple of Germany's, Munich and Dusseldorf. We lost Bordeaux through strike action in Bordeaux. The ramp handlers, the security people in Lyon are gone on strike, and that will cause a couple of cancellations for Aer Lingus tomorrow. We've also lost Brussels, Birmingham and Gatwick, all COVID related from Aer Lingus. But it's not just Aer Lingus cancellations that are going to affect us. We're going to see the greve is almost a daily issue. We had a firefighter strike in Charles de Gaulle yesterday, which caused an Air France cancellation from Dublin. And there are air traffic control issues that caused problems last weekend from Marseille. They're going to continue during the summer. What we're seeing is a lot of union discontent, people looking for wage cuts that were taken during COVID to be restored, and older issues re-emerging. It's going to be a little bit of trouble with delays and cancellations. But in the overall scheme of things, Claire, when you have 300 flights departing and 300 flights landing every day in Dublin Airport, 10 cancellations isn't big. I know it sounds a lot, but
it sounds a lot if you were meant to be on the plane.
If you're absolutely, and if you've got a family that have been looking forward for 3 years.
Yeah, do you know what? I can't even think about what that's like. And what happens? You get a text in the morning to say your flight's been cancelled, and do they try and rebook you pretty quickly?
Pretty quickly. Most people are rebooked within the day now. Obviously, when flights are full, it's much more difficult. The aviation industry is good at this. They have weather events. They have strikes all the time. It's really inconvenient for the passengers, but they have systems in place to move people to where they're supposed to go. Very important. You're going to get to where you're going. It's not going to be an airport 100 kilometres away. They've got to get you there, and they've got to get you there as quickly as possible. Maybe not the same day, but they're getting most people out within the 24 hours.
Okay, I was just having a look on social media this morning at people who are arriving at the airport, and it seemed to me that if you don't have a bag to check in, you're probably okay. But if you had a bag to check in the early hours, say between 4 and 5, that you were looking at a fairly lengthy delay.
Some of the bag check-in queues have dwarfed the security queues. I've heard an hour and 45 minutes. There are a couple of airlines that are worse affected than others. Obviously, the ones going through hubs. We have 2 of them in Dublin Airport, Etihad and Qatar. Air France and Lufthansa, a lot of bags to be loaded because people are going to Paris and Frankfurt to go on to further destinations. And then the security queues are on the app, and people have sort of said, yes, they're pretty much accurate, but the bag check-in queue is subject to a separate set of pressures because it's the airline staff, and airline staff have also been subject to this. Aer Lingus isn't the only one dealing with COVID absences, Claire.
We asked would Aer Lingus come on this morning. They didn't have anyone available. The DAA didn't have a spokesperson available either, but sent us a statement saying that in June 93% of passengers passed through security screening in under 45 minutes. They're still hiring more permanent security staff, and they explained that they've had to redeploy staff from other areas of the business, including cleaning, to support our security personnel. Now that's relevant because I see again on social media today that people are very upset at the state of the airport in some parts, at least the public toilets, the dining areas and so on.
Absolutely. Airport bursting at the seams and coming apart. The baggage hall is a huge problem in itself. They have 702 people, up from 535 in March. When the first, we had two meltdowns at the airport with security queues, one end of March, the other was the end of May. They had about 530 workers then. They're now up to 702, 30 coming on stream every week. So security queues no longer at the core of the problem. And that figure will be up to 800 next month. But the other areas and every single area of the airport is under pressure, and every other airport throughout Europe is under pressure. Hamburg is sourcing a warehouse for the mountain of baggage, which is bringing its terminal to a halt. Germany says they're about 15% short of the airport workers they need. And then we have security queues similar to Dublin at its peak, popping up all over Europe, and Lyon will be a very good example today.
This is really only the start of it, isn't it, Eoghan? This is the start of the 6 weeks of peak.
The peak actually is a little bit earlier. It moves earlier every year, and Ireland's peak kicks in a little bit earlier than some of the other countries. I don't think we'll have as busy a weekend this weekend as we did last week, but the percentages are very small in that. We're still dealing with over 100,000 going through the airport every day, 50,000 out, 50,000 in, and all the pressures that brings on the check-in, as we mentioned, the security, and also the immigration and the baggage at the other side. Baggage is a big issue.
All right, well, let's hope people who are listening and who are travelling today don't get the dreaded text to tell them that their flight has been cancelled. Eoghan, thank you so much, as always.